Welcome to Luke Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of English Listening Time. I am Liam, and as always, I am joined by the wonderful Maggie.
Hi, Liam. Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be here today because I really need to talk about something. I am feeling a little bit like a zombie today.
A zombie? That is not good. Did you stay up all night watching horror movies again, or were you just staring at the ceiling?
No movies this time. I just could not shut my brain off. I was thinking about work, and then I started thinking about what I wanted for breakfast, and then I realized it was 3 in the morning.
That is the worst feeling in the world. It's like your mind is a car that refuses to park. You just keep driving in circles around the same thoughts.
Exactly. And now I have this giant coffee, but I still feel like my eyes are heavy. I think we should talk about sleep today, specifically nighttime habits. I need to know how people actually rest.
That is a perfect topic. It's funny because people spend so much money on expensive pillows and mattresses, but they forget that the most important thing for a good night of rest is actually the routine you follow before you even touch the bed.
A routine, like a schedule? I used to have a routine when I was a kid. My mom would make me brush my teeth and read a book. But now that I'm an adult, my routine is basically looking at my phone until it falls on my face.
The classic phone drop. We've all been there. But honestly, Maggie, that is probably the biggest reason you feel like a zombie. We're living in an age of constant stimulation. Our brains are not designed to go from a bright screen and social media directly into deep sleep.
But Liam, it's so hard to put the phone away. I feel like I'm missing out on things. What if someone sends me a funny video at 11 p.m.?
The video will still be funny at 8 a.m., I promise. Let me tell you a story about when I lived in a small cabin in the mountains a few years ago. There was very little electricity and certainly no internet.
That sounds like a nightmare. No internet? How did you survive?
It was actually one of the best times of my life for my health. Because there was no light pollution and no screens, I had to follow the rhythm of the sun. When it got dark, I lit a few candles and read a physical book. Within 30 minutes, I would feel this heavy, natural wave of tiredness.
Natural wave? I don't think I've felt a natural wave in years. I usually feel a wave of panic because I realize how late it is.
That is exactly the point. In that cabin, I learned about the importance of dimming the lights. Our bodies produce a hormone called melatonin when the environment gets dark. It tells the brain it's time to wind down. If you have bright LED lights on until midnight, you're essentially lying to your brain. You're telling it that it's still noon.
So you're saying I'm lying to myself. That makes sense. I have all these bright lights in my kitchen and my living room. I even leave the TV on sometimes for background noise.
Background noise can be okay if it's just sound, but the blue light from the TV is like a cup of espresso for your eyes. When I was in that cabin, I noticed that even the small flame of a candle was enough to help me see, but not enough to wake me up. I started sleeping 9 hours a night and waking up before the sun without an alarm.
9 hours? That sounds like a dream. I'm lucky if I get 6 hours. But Liam, what if I'm not in a cabin? I live in a city. There are streetlights outside and my neighbor has a loud motorcycle.
That's where the concept of a sleep sanctuary comes in. You have to treat your bedroom like a holy place. It's only for 2 things, sleeping and relaxing. If you work in your bed or eat in your bed, your brain gets confused. It thinks the bed is a place for activity.
Oh no, I do everything in my bed. I answer emails, I eat snacks, I even did my taxes on my bed last month.
Maggie, you're turning your bed into an office. No wonder your brain stayed on until 3 in the morning. You were probably waiting for a spreadsheet to appear on your pillow.
You're right. I need to change this. I want to talk more about how to build this sanctuary, but first I want to understand why my brain does that thing where it starts worrying about random things the moment the lights go out. Is there a habit to stop the worrying?
There is, and it's a very simple one called the brain dump. But before we get into that, let's take a second to breathe. I want to explore how the things we do in the evening dictate the quality of the deep sleep we get later on, because it's not just about the quantity of hours, but the quality of those hours. Picking up right where we left off with that idea of the brain dump, it is a simple technique where you take a piece of paper and a pen and you write down every single thing that is bothering you or every task you need to do the next day before you go to bed.
A brain dump? That sounds a bit messy, but I like the name. So I just write it all down, like a grocery list of my anxieties.
Exactly. When you keep those thoughts in your head, your brain feels like it has to keep them active so you do not forget them. It's like holding a heavy box. When you write it down on paper, you're giving your brain permission to put the box on the floor. You're telling yourself that the information is safe on the paper and you can deal with it tomorrow.
That is a great analogy, putting the box on the floor. I usually just try to balance 10 boxes while I'm trying to fall asleep. I think I'm going to buy a nice notebook just for this.
A notebook is a great idea. Now I want to focus on some specific words I've been using because I want to make sure you and our listeners really understand them. The first one is wind down. Have you heard that phrase before?
Wind down. I think I know it. It's like a clock when you turn the key. To wind down means to slow down or relax after a period of being busy, right?
Perfect. We use it to describe the transition from a high energy state to a low energy state. You cannot just stop a car going 100 miles an hour instantly. You have to slow down first. Your evening routine is your wind down period.
I love that. Wind down. I need a longer wind down. What about that other word you used, stimulation? You said screens provide too much stimulation.
Great question. Stimulation refers to anything that excites your senses or your brain. It makes you feel alert and active. Coffee is a stimulant. A loud action movie is stimulating. Even a stressful conversation can be stimulating. At night, we want the opposite. We want a calm environment.
Okay, so no more heavy metal music before bed. Got it. And you mentioned light pollution too. That sounds like a fancy term.
Light pollution usually refers to too much artificial light in the environment, like street lights in a city that make it hard to see the stars. But in our homes, we have our own light pollution. Bright overhead lights can disrupt our internal clock.
Internal clock. That makes sense. I have 3 words now. Wind down, stimulation, and light pollution. I'm going to write those in my new notebook.
Speaking of things that happen at night, I have to tell you about a habit my grandfather had. He lived to be 95, and he was the best sleeper I ever knew. Every night at exactly 8 p.m., he would have a small cup of herbal tea, usually chamomile.
My grandmother did that too, but I always thought it was just a myth that tea helps you sleep. Does it really work?
It's part chemistry and part ritual. Chamomile has properties that help the muscles relax, but more importantly, it was the ritual. The act of heating the water, smelling the tea, and sitting in his favorite chair for 15 minutes without talking was a signal to his body. He did this for 50 years. His body knew that the smell of chamomile meant that sleep was coming in 1 hour.
So it's like training a dog? You're training your body to react to a signal.
Precisely. We're creatures of habit. If you create a strong signal like a specific scent or a specific sound, your brain will eventually start the sleep process automatically. For me, it's the sound of rain. I have a small machine that makes rain sounds. The moment I turn it on, I can feel my heart rate slowing down.
I tried a rain machine once, but it just made me want to go to the bathroom. Maybe I should try the tea instead.
Everyone is different. You have to find your own signal. It might be a warm shower or stretching. I once knew a guy who would do a very slow puzzle for 10 minutes. It was so boring that his brain just decided to go to sleep rather than finish the puzzle.
That's hilarious, using boredom as a tool. I usually hate being bored, but I guess at night, boredom is my superpower.
It really is. In our world, we're afraid of being bored. We always want to be entertained. But the secret to a good night of sleep is being brave enough to be bored for 20 minutes. No phone, no news, no drama, just you and a cup of tea or a boring puzzle.
Brave enough to be bored. That's going to be my new motto. I think I've been avoiding boredom my whole life. I thought boredom was the enemy, but maybe it's my best friend for resting.
It's a perspective shift for sure. Now that we've talked about the theory and the stories, I want to move on to how we can actually apply this to our lives today, because I know it's easier said than done when you live in a modern apartment with a phone in your hand. Moving forward into the practical side of things, how do we actually start this tonight? Maggie, if you go home today and try to change 10 things at once, you will probably fail because it is too much pressure.
You were right. If I try to be a person who drinks tea and does puzzles and writes in a notebook all tonight, I will just get stressed out and stay awake even longer.
Exactly. So we use the rule of one. Just pick one thing. Maybe tonight, the only thing you do is put your phone in a different room 30 minutes before you want to sleep.
A different room. That feels like I am putting my phone in jail, but I guess it is for my own good. If it's in the kitchen, I cannot reach for it when I'm bored in bed.
That is the goal. It's about removing the temptation. If the phone is there, you will use it. If it is in the kitchen, you are too lazy to get out of bed to get it. Use your laziness to your advantage.
I am very good at being lazy, so I think I can handle that. What about the lights? You said dimming the lights is important.
Yes. Try to turn off the big, bright lights on the ceiling and use a small lamp instead. It creates a much softer atmosphere. And if you have to use your phone for an alarm, try to get a cheap digital alarm clock instead. That way, the phone does not even need to enter the bedroom sanctuary.
A real alarm clock? I haven't seen one of those in years. I think my parents still have one that makes a very loud beeping sound.
It doesn't have to be a loud one, but the point is to keep the technology away. This leads me to my final story. When I was traveling in Japan, I stayed at a traditional inn called a ryokan. There were no beds like we have, just a futon on the floor.
Was it comfortable? It sounds a bit hard for the back.
It was surprisingly comfortable, but the most interesting part was the evening routine. They served a light dinner, then you went to a hot bath, and then you came back to a room with no furniture except the futon. There was nothing to do but sleep, no distractions. I remember waking up there feeling like I had been reborn. I realized that my bedroom at home was full of clutter, books, clothes, electronics. It was all visual noise.
Visual noise? I have a lot of that. I have a pile of laundry in the corner and a stack of magazines I will never read.
Clean the space and you clean the mind. A clear room helps a clear head. So my advice for everyone listening is to look at your bedroom tonight. Is it a place of rest or is it a storage room for your life?
I think mine is a storage room. Okay, Liam, I have my lesson of the day. My summary for everyone is this. First, we need to wind down and avoid stimulation. Second, we should try to eliminate light pollution and treat our bedroom like a sanctuary. Third, we should use the brain dump to put our worries on paper. And finally, we should find a simple signal like tea or a scent to tell our bodies it is time to rest.
That is a perfect summary, Maggie. I think if you do even one of those things tonight, you will feel less like a zombie tomorrow.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to my date with boredom tonight. It sounds like the most relaxing date I have had in a long time.
I'm glad to hear it. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to English Listening Time.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I'm going to go buy a notebook and some chamomile tea now. See you next time.
Goodbye, everyone. Sleep well.